Welcome to Heart to Heart with Michael, featuring your host, Michael Lieben. Our program is designed to empower the bereaved community with information and stories from those who have suffered the most terrible loss. Michael Lieben, himself a bereaved father, will be meeting with people from around the world to share and to draw hope from their experiences. And now, here is Michael Lieben.
Welcome, friends, to the fourth episode of the first season of Heart to Heart with Michael, a program for the bereaved community. Our purpose is to empower bereaved members of our community with resources, support, and advocacy information. Today's show is Hope for Healing a Family. Here with us today to discuss this topic is our guest, Susie. Susie's a 12-year cancer survivor and the mother of 2 children. She has a son and a daughter, both in their 30s. Her daughter, in spite of being a cancer survivor herself and having chemo treatments, had outmaneuvered what the oncologist told the family and gave birth to a healthy boy 5 years ago. Susie's daughter continued to defy the doctors when she became pregnant the second time, approximately 2 years later. Isabel was born just a week early and with one of the most common congenital heart defects, TGA, transposition of the great arteries. Isabel's parents made the heart-wrenching decision to remove life support 12 hours after birth. In recent years, Susie has been working as a home hospice caregiver. So, Susie, thank you very, very much for coming to Heart with Michael. It is a pleasure to speak with you.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're going to get right to it. Can you tell us what kind of cancer you had and what kind of cancer your daughter had, and was there maybe a genetic component?
No, they thought possibly with mine, but I don't believe so. It was all of the female organs, uterine, cervical, ovarian.
What did your daughter have?
My daughter had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she is also in remission, and she's doing fine.
How old was she when they discovered Hodgkin's? Because I know that's fairly curable.
Right. She was 24, but because of the healthcare system, she did not go in for a diagnosis right away. She was unemployed, and she wanted to be insurable and not have that diagnosis of cancer. So she did find a position as part-time and then went into full-time. And they were very kind at the corporation that she was working at. And they upped the eligibility for her insurance. So she was able to get on her insurance and have the treatment. But because of that wait, she had gone into a 3D stage. Mm-hmm. And so she was, very close to being unrealistically terminal. It was just very scary. But she's fine now. Yes, it is. She worked out fine. Everything came out great.
What did the doctors tell her about the possibility that she might have children or not have children?
They told all of us, her father and I were with her, and there was 2 of the oncologists were in there with us, and they both said that she would most probably not ever conceive because the chemo kills the eggs. And with her being so young and she was not married at the time, and we just didn't think it would be possible. And so we were very happy and so blessed and so pleased that, she was pregnant with a very rambunctious 5-year-old boy.
Were you scared?
Little nickname of the tank. He's a big boy.
Were you scared when she became pregnant? Is it unknown territory?
No, not at all. No, I was not. I was not concerned about that at all. I was not even concerned about the health of the baby. I was just I trust in God, and I knew it was going to be all right. And faith goes a long way.
That's amazing that you didn't even consider the possible health of the baby. I guess just the joy of being able to do something that you thought you couldn't do would be like.
Oh yes, exactly. Yes, and she was incredible. She didn't even act like she was pregnant unless you looked at her, and it was like, oh, she is pregnant. But yes, she didn't even act. She had no symptoms or anything, none of the nausea or anything. She was just great. It was like, wow, what a easy peasy kind of a pregnancy. It's like, I want one of those, or I wanted one of those.
I guess she got decent support then from the medical community? They were there. They were sort of watching. They were close by.
Yes, she had a wonderful obstetrician, and her pediatrician was great. Everything went fine. It was her husband was wonderful. Her brother and I were there for her constantly. I took care of him for the first 2 or 3 years of his life, and she had to go back to work, unfortunately.
Was an oncologist on board? I mean, during the pregnancy, was there somebody from that world keeping an eye, or it just didn't?
Well, because of the cancer that she had been, it had been not treated for such a long time, and so she still has the gallium whole body scans that are done every 6 months. They keep a very strict, close eye on her, to make sure everything's going fine with her.
And in fact, the first pregnancy just went swimmingly and everything was fine.
Exactly. And so, when she got pregnant the second time, the first time everybody was ecstatic. Of course, the second time, everybody was ecstatic again and really surprised.
Right.
We were just grateful to have one grandchild. I was very happy to have one grandchild. And to have two, it was like, wow, this is great. I'm literally on cloud 9. And we were all just so excited. And wow.
Strangely enough, time is absolutely zipping along, and we're going to have to take a short break here. But I want everybody to stay close, because when we get back, we're going to be talking more with Susie about losing that second grandchild and changes that took place in the family. And perhaps we're going to take a little look into the future to see what's in store.
Hi, I'm John Montez of NBC's hit a cappella show, The Sing-Off. In a cappella music, it takes a team to create a sound that many will enjoy, just like it'll take a team to help my good friend Miles Schweitzer, an HLHS survivor. Let's help Miles fulfill his dream and make a big enough sound to bring awareness to congenital heart disease. Please visit him at gofundme.com/The Miles Project. Miles with the Y. Again, that's gofundme.com, The Miles Project. This is from Miles.
Heart to Heart with Michael is a presentation of Hearts Unite the Globe and is part of the Hug Podcast Network. Hearts Unite the Globe is a non-profit organization devoted to providing resources to the congenital heart defect community to uplift, empower, and enrich the lives of our community members. If you would like access to free resources pertaining to the CHD community, please visit our website at www.congenital-heart-defects.com for information about CHD, the hospitals that treat children with CHD, summer camps for CHD survivors, and much, much more.
You're really sharing a very valuable gift with so many people throughout the country and internationally.
To create a framework for the long-term follow-up of children and young adults.
I am Anna Jaworski and the host of Heart to Heart with Anna. Join us on Tuesdays at noon Eastern Time on Spreaker or Blog Talk Radio. We'll cover topics of importance for the congenital heart defect community. Remember, my friends, you are not alone. You are listening to Heart to Heart with Michael. If you have a question or comment that you would like addressed on our program, please send an email to Michael Lieben at michael@hearttoheartwithmichael.com. Now, back to Heart with Michael.
Welcome back to Heart with Michael. Today we're talking with Susie, the mother of a cancer survivor and grandmother of 2 miracle babies, one who sadly was lost to a congenital heart defect. So Susie, first of all, what was it like with your daughter after she survived cancer?
Afterwards, it was probably, I don't know how I could say that we were closer, but it seemed like we were, I guess, just going through something like that. First with my cancer, and then she had cancer just a little while later. We were just very happy, just a very good mother and daughter relationship. It was wonderful to have an adult daughter, all the different stages of having a daughter. We both truly enjoyed each other's company. I can remember even at 15, we were in the kitchen and we had all the boys were in the family room, and she said, "Mama, what's it going to be like when you're 90 and I'm 60? Well, are we still going to be calling them the boys? And I said, yes, absolutely. Because they're always going to be the boys. The boys
Some
are
things don't
always
change,
the
do they?
boys. Exactly, they don't.
So when she got pregnant a second time, was that a major surprise? And what does that mean when you say she outmaneuvered her doctors?
Well, just because they told us rather implicitly, explicitly rather, that she just would most probably never get pregnant. She would never ever conceive. So not only did she conceive, we had this wonderful little tank of a little baby boy as a result. It was
But
just wonderful.
did they tell her not to? Did they advise her it was a bad idea, or they just said it wasn't likely to happen for you?
It was probably not going to happen for her that she, because of the chemo, that it does kill the eggs of a woman, and with her being so young, and she was not married at the time. So, she was always wanted to have children. So it was a horrible blow to all of us. I was happy that she survived, of course. I'd much rather have that. But at the same time, things happen in life we just have no control over. So it was very much of a miracle when she turned up and it was like, Mama, I think I'm pregnant.
Oh,
I was like, oh boy, yay. So we all did that dance around the maypole on that day. We were all very excited and very happy.
And in fact, things did go very well with the first one. So what was that like when she was pregnant the second time, and then the news was not so good? Tell us a little bit about being pregnant the second time, because Isabel was born only a week early, so everything was looking good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we had no sign that there to expect anything to be misconnected or anything that there was any problem of any kind. Again, she had an easy peasy pregnancy. Just kind of glided through it. Didn't have any of the telltale signs that so many of us go through. Probably she was more tired, but that was about it. Very understandable. She was tired. She had this tank of a little boy running around. Plus, she was pregnant and working. So she was tired. But we were all celebrating because here we've got number 2 on the way.
And then who knows after that. So when number 2 was born, when Isabel was born, things did not go well. She had TGA, and what happened then?
Well, right away, when she was born, she was blue. And so right away they whisked her off. She was blue. And they whisked her off and life flighted her to the hospital here, Children's Hospital. And Dad went with the baby and with Isabel. And the family was racing around the town trying to get everybody together and try to get to the hospital where the baby was at. And
what did they do? Did they do a procedure?
Yes, they did do an emergency, and I can't remember right now what it was called, but they did try to reverse the effects of the transposition. Unfortunately, they said that she had been without oxygen for way too long.
But she did turn pink for a short time.
Yes, I've got the one picture that we all have of her is the pinkest that she was at, and she looked pretty pink, but that was after the surgery. It was right after the surgery. But then she began to fail right away.
She had surgery. It looked good. It didn't look good. And then you talked about a heart-wrenching decision. What were they going through? What were they thinking?
Well, because they, everybody was, of course, distraught because you go from such heights of hope and happiness to, oh my gosh, this is horrible. And everybody knew that this was not a quality of life that anybody would want to put on any other human being, certainly not on your child. She would not have had any type of a life. She would have been a complete vegetable. because of the there was just no brain activity.
Mm.
So it's heart-wrenching to know that you are the one that's deciding because of the medical advances that we have made. But at the same time,
Well, you said there's no activity. Was she already brain dead by the time they made that decision?
Yes.
Okay.
Things had gone from a little hopeful to very bad very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She just was here with us for 12 hours.
12 hours, her entire life.
Yeah. Very short life.
In only 12 hours, you became very, very connected to her. I saw what you wrote about her. And she was very important to you as a granddaughter. She was important as a daughter. And 12 hours to a lot of people doesn't seem like a long time, but to those of us who have been there, it is literally an entire lifetime. And the loss is incomprehensible to anybody who hasn't been there, I think.
Exactly. And that is that poet that I wrote that you have, that is truly how I felt. That just came right out of me.
We've all been there. We've all done that. We've all written that, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm. There's something very close to it because there is no end to it.
Well, we have to go to a break.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for coming here to Heart with Michael and opening up to us about your family and how you're coping with that loss of Isabel. I know that many families have struggled as you have and will gain strength from the sharing with us. So please, everybody, stay close. In our final segment, we're going to talk about Susie's relationships that were affected by Isabel's passing and what hope there is for healing in that family. And that story when we come back.
Home Tonight Forever by the Baby Blues Sound Collective. I think what I love so much about this CD is that some of the songs were inspired by the patients.
Many listeners will understand many of the different songs and what they've been inspired by. Our new album will be available on iTunes, Amazon.com, Spotify.
I love the fact that the proceeds from this CD are actually going to help those with congenital heart defects.
Enjoy the music.
Home Tonight Forever.
Did you know that most men suffer from beard itch, ingrown hairs, and a dry face, all because they're not using the right shaving tools? At woodrazor.com, we sell handmade heirloom quality badger hair brushes that exfoliate the skin, open the pores, and stimulate hair follicles, which gives a gentleman a closer, more comfortable shave and a clean face. Visit our website, woodrazor.com, where you can learn more about men's skincare and check out our professional shaving tools. A perfect gift for your man, built to last for generations. That's woodrazor.com.
When I saw so many of these CHD groups growing, I found family just ready to join me.
Anyone who is a member of the adult congenital heart defect community can be a guest on our show.
We have a great year planned, and we look forward to sharing other interesting topics.
Heart to Heart with Nicole and David, serving the ACHD community, Wednesdays at noon Eastern.
You are listening to Heart to Heart with Michael. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Michael's program, please email him at michael@hearttoheartwithmichael.com. Now, back to our program.
Welcome back to our program, Heart to Heart with Michael. Today we're talking with bereaved grandmother Susie. She's the grandmother of baby Isabel, who died shortly after being born with a critical congenital heart defect. We're going to talk to Susie now about the changing relationships in her family, and we're going to take a look at the future. So why don't you start by telling me, how did losing Isabel affect your relationship with your daughter?
Losing Isabel affected my relationship with my daughter dramatically. We had always been very close and talked every day and saw each other every day. We had always been there for each other and comforted each other and had been there when others had not been throughout the whole time that she was growing up and with the boys, quote unquote. So with the insistence of her husband, that relationship changed dramatically, and we no longer had contact for a very long time.
Well, how did things change? How did that happen?
My son-in-law had decided that it was my responsibility that Isabel was born the way she was born.
Did he give a reason for that?
He believes that it's because of the argument that Christine and I had when she was about 4 to 6 weeks pregnant with Isabel.
And that somehow magically caused the arteries to transpose?
Yes.
So what happens now? Or how far away do you live? Are you in contact?
We live probably, I would say, about an hour away, which is not that far by any means. But she decided, luckily and happily, very excitedly, she had decided that Bryson needed to have his grandmother in his life. Mm-hmm. And so we were able to get together right around my birthday, this last in October of 2016. And it was wonderful. So it was a bridge that we started at that point. Mm-hmm. Because I've always kept in contact with Bryson as far as cards and presents and things like that. Mm-hmm. But I still was not even having contact with, my little tank.
What I see is that there's a family unit that's very tight, that both parents work. There's a small child. Grandmother comes and helps. Were you living closer to them then at the time?
Just a little bit closer, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everything is good, and then suddenly everything is not so good. The father, for whatever magical reason, decides that it's your fault. I'm assuming at that point that your daughter had to make a decision who to be with.
Right. And I understand the decision that she made. A lot of people have to do that. And unfortunately, it lasted a lot longer than what I certainly would have wanted it to. It was not only the loss of Isabel, but I lost her mm-hmm. mother also. Mm-hmm. And I lost my son-in-law and my grandson.
Was there any contact? I mean, I understand that you sent cards and gifts, on birthdays and Christmas and whatnot, but did you call her? Did you try to call? Did they try to call you, or just completely cut off?
No, I did, at first, of course. I did try to call. I would write and kept on being told not to expect anything in return. Yeah.
Straight out, like leave us alone kind of thing.
Well, not coming from my daughter, she would just not respond. Mm-hmm. And then I did hear, even at the funeral, he had already made this decision. I was not to speak to him at the funeral.
Did you think this is sort of some sort of temporary anger that he would clearly get over, or?
Yes, I did. And so it surprised me that it lasted for any period of time, more than just a few months, but it's lasted now for several years.
Wow. How many years?
Well, it's been about 2 years, 2.5 years.
And your grandson now is 7?
No, he's 5 now.
He's 5 now. Okay, so this happened when he was 3. He had a grandmother, and suddenly he didn't have a grandmother. And
right, who he had a grandmother every day, because I was the one that took care of him.
Wow. So you travel almost an hour every day to be there and be wow.
Oh yeah.
So does he ever call you now and say something like, "Where are you?" or "I miss you," or anything like that?
Well, we had a wonderful time. My son set up a time for us to go in where you build bears at the mall. And we had lunch, and it was great, but we didn't build bears. We built dragons. It was great.
Of course.
Of course we did dragons. He's a tank.
Why build a bear? Of course we build a dragon, of course.
I know. Dragons are more cool. So that's what we did. And
so you had a cool day. You had a cool day with your grandson, and what happened after that?
Well, we have still kept in contact, but I have not seen him yet. Which, of course, though, I have all the faith that I will again, certainly, and that we will get close again. I
want to ask you something, because I seem to remember you telling me something once. There was a phone call, your daughter called up and said, the boy needs a grandmother or something like that. Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, that she had said that, it's time for him to have a relationship with his grandmother. And so, of course, she did discuss it with her husband. And so he gave the okay. So that's an improvement right there.
You think maybe he's softening up a little bit?
I certainly hope so.
We're getting close to the end, and I'd like to close this with a big scoop of hope. I get the feeling that, tell me more about that.
Well, I just feel that there is tremendous hope. When, there is life, there's hope. All of us have hope. If you don't have hope, I don't know how you can live. There has to be hope. There's always a sliver of hope somewhere, somehow. There is that. I have tremendous faith that she and I will be close again, that I will be close again to my son-in-law and to my grandson. I know that I will.
I just want to say that I've known you now for quite some time, and what we've talked about tonight is only a small portion, I think, of some of the trials and tribulations in your life. And I think you must be a tremendously optimistic person, and I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that your optimism is going to carry you through this. And I'd love for you to come back on the program sometime soon and tell me how wonderful everything is and how you just went out and had like 3-day vacation with the family and how great it was.
I will too. And I absolutely. We might even come and visit Uncle Michael.
That sounds great because I'm pretty far away.
I know. But it's a great excuse, to travel.
Happily, this concludes this episode of Heart to Heart with Michael. Again, I want to thank you, Susie, for sharing with us the hope of your story, and hopefully that you've been able to broadcast some of that hope to people who are listening. Unfortunately, I think it's not uncommon for families to be atomized or at least be hurt, seriously hurt by this kind of loss. It's appealing to me and hopeful to me to see you. I can hear you smiling.
I am smiling, actually.
And I can hear it. And I think that's great. So thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Everybody who's listening, please join me or the Heart to Heart with Michael team in Pal Talk every week following our program. And I'll be with you soon. And until then, remember, it's okay to breathe.
Thank you again for joining us. We hope you have gained strength from listening to our program. Heart to Heart with Michael can be heard every Thursday at noon Eastern Time. We'll talk again next time when we'll share more stories. If you would like to continue today's discussion, please join us right after the program in the Hug podcast chat room on Pal Talk.